Hi, I'm Mr. Eli. Today I'll share the painful journey of someone who faced the coldest truths life has to offer. And believe me, if only this were just a revenge story. I signed every paper, didn't fight, didn't raise my voice. But she forgot about one thing. And that's what changed everything. My name is David Monroe. I used to think that when a marriage ends, it ends because both people just drift away. Maybe they stop talking. Maybe they want different things. Maybe the love just disappears. But that's not what happened with us. No, with us it was surgical, precise, cold. Emma and I were married for 14 years. We met during our second year of college. She was studying finance. I was a computer science major. She was driven, ambitious, fiercely intelligent. I admired her. Everyone did. She had that type of charisma that filled a room, the kind that made people pause when she spoke. And me? I was the quiet one, the steady one, the guy who made sure the Wi-Fi always worked and the bills got paid on time. For a while, we were a perfect team. We bought a modest home in Portland after graduation. Emma took a job at a hedge fund downtown. I joined a logistics software company as a back-end engineer. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. I liked stable. By the time we hit our 8th year of marriage, she had already doubled her salary. Promotions came easily to her. Meanwhile, I stayed put. Same company, same role, just consistency. I didn't care about titles, I cared about peace, about reliability. Looking back, maybe that's when the cracks started forming, when my need for calm began to feel like complacency to her. She started going out more. Late meetings, networking events, weekend retreats. She always had a reason, and I never asked too many questions. That was my mistake. Then came the silence. You know the kind I mean, when two people share the same dinner table, but not the same world. We became polite strangers. And then one morning, she left a folded note next to my coffee. It was short. David, I filed for divorce. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. Emma, there wasn't even a sorry. I didn't react, didn't slam doors or send her desperate messages. I just sat there, holding that note, rereading the last line. Please don't make this harder than it needs to be. As if I was the problem. A week later, I was served with papers. Her lawyer, sharp and ruthless, outlined everything. She wanted the house, the car, our shared bank accounts, the dog, Max. She even wanted the art pieces her parents had gifted us. It was as if she had rehearsed this exit months in advance. And maybe she had. My attorney, Michael, a quiet guy, ex-military, glasses always sliding down his nose, looked at the documents and raised his eyebrows. David, he said, this is aggressive. I nodded. Let her have it. You sure? Yes. We didn't fight in court. I didn't contest anything. I let her win. Everyone around me thought I'd lost my mind. My brother said I was being weak. My mom called 3 times in one day crying. But I wasn't giving up. I was giving space. Space for her to finally see what mattered. But she didn't look back. She took everything. And she walked away like I was a footnote in her success story. Only, she forgot one thing. A tiny detail. A technicality, really. Something most people wouldn't even notice. But I did. What she forgot was the retirement fund. Not the 401k we both contributed to during our marriage. That was split in the settlement. No, I'm talking about something else. 10 years ago, I joined a little-known tech startup called Stratosync. It was a side gig, nights and weekends, writing code, helping them build their infrastructure. In return, they gave me equity. Nothing huge, just 1.2% of the company. At the time, that equity was worthless. But Stratosync didn't stay small. They specialized in cross-platform logistics optimization, basically software that told massive warehouses how to talk to each other in real time. Boring to most people, but to Amazon, to FedEx, to Walmart, it was gold. By the time Emma filed for divorce, Stratosync was preparing to go public, and I still held 1.2%. Here's the catch. That equity wasn't in our joint portfolio. It wasn't part of our retirement plan. It was issued under my name only, held in a separate trust, created years before we even got married. Because of a random clause their attorney had recommended back then, Emma had no claim to it. And her lawyer? Never found it. Why? Because I never brought it up. Because I never bragged. Because I never thought it would matter. Until now. On the day our divorce was finalized, I sat alone on the back porch of a rented apartment, sipping coffee, watching a neighbor teach his kid how to ride a bike. My phone buzzed. Stratosync files for IPO at $4.7 billion valuation. Tech crunch. I stared at the headline for a long time. Then I smiled. The IPO went live 6 weeks later. By then, Emma was already living in our house, driving our car, posting pictures with Max on social media like she'd won some kind of prize. She'd even started dating again, a financial consultant named Greg. Classic. I didn't care, because the moment that IPO opened, my equity converted, pre-tax, just under $56 million. She took everything she could see, but the one thing she couldn't see was the one thing that changed everything. That's when the calls started. First it was a blocked number. I didn't answer. Then a text. "Hey, I just saw the news. Can we talk?" Emma. I didn't respond. 2 days later. "I think we should revisit this settlement. This affects both of us, David." I laughed. It was the first real laugh I'd had in months. She didn't understand. It wasn't about the money. It was never about the money. It was about who she thought I was. The thing about silence is that it makes people nervous. Emma had always thrived on control. She liked to manage, to negotiate, to stay 3 steps ahead. But silence? She didn't know what to do with that. So she filled the void with noise. She emailed me, messaged me on LinkedIn, tried to friend me again on Facebook, even called my brother, all unanswered. Then one afternoon, while I was walking through the aisles of a bookstore, something I hadn't done in years, my phone rang again. This time it wasn't a blocked number, it was a name, Emma Monroe. I let it ring. Then, at the last second, I picked up. "David," she said, breathless, like she'd been waiting for hours. "I know you're angry, I know you're hurt, but we need to talk. This IPO, this changes things." I didn't say anything. She kept going. "Look, maybe we rushed into things. Maybe we should revisit our settlement. You know, legally." Still nothing from me. Her voice softened. "David, don't do this. We were married for 14 years. We built a life together." Now I spoke. "You took everything, Emma." She hesitated. "That's not fair." "You're right," I said. "It wasn't." Click. I ended the call. She called again the next day. This time her tone had shifted. No more warmth, no more nostalgia. "I've spoken with a new attorney," she said. "We're filing a petition to reopen the division of assets. You concealed financial information during the divorce. That's fraud." I smiled. What she didn't know was that I had receipts. 3 years prior, when Stratosync restructured and moved my equity into a blind trust, I had hired a private CPA to ensure everything was compliant. Every document signed, every timestamp recorded. The trust was completely separate. Not a single dollar of marital funds had touched it. So I called my lawyer. Michael sounded relaxed. Let them try. The petition was filed, and it was thrown out in under 3 minutes. The judge didn't even blink. Her attorney looked embarrassed. "Emma?" She looked like she couldn't breathe. Outside the courtroom, she approached me. "You planned this," she said, eyes wild. "You knew this would happen." I looked at her calmly. "No," I said. "I planned for peace. You planned for war." Then I turned and walked away. That was the last time I saw her face to face. But the story doesn't end there. You see, money changes people, but silence, that destroys them. 3 months passed. I moved into a new place, smaller, quieter, and entirely mine. No shared closets, no debates over decor. Just me, a decent espresso machine, and a balcony that caught the morning sun. I didn't buy a fancy car, didn't go on a luxury trip, didn't even tell most people about the money. Because the money wasn't the point. Peace was. Meanwhile, Emma's world began to unravel. Greg, the consultant she'd been dating, gone. Apparently, he liked her when she was polished and powerful, less so when legal fees and public records started surfacing. Mutual friends stopped replying to her Instagram posts. A blog picked up the failed court petition and ran a headline. Woman tries to reclaim millions from ex, judge says no. The comments weren't kind. She deleted her socials not long after. Then, one day, I got a letter. Not an email. A real, handwritten letter. It wasn't angry. It wasn't manipulative. It was just sad. She apologized, not for what she took, but for never really seeing me. She said she thought I was weak, boring, predictable, and now she realized that what she called predictable was actually the rarest kind of strength. I didn't write back, because closure isn't always about conversation. Sometimes closure is sitting alone on your balcony at 6 a.m., sipping strong coffee and feeling the quiet hum of nothing going wrong. Sometimes it's knowing you had the power to destroy someone and choosing not to. I didn't get revenge, I got peace. And honestly, that's the better ending. They say the loudest people often have the least to say, and the quiet ones, they're usually the ones holding all the cards. David didn't scream, he didn't threaten, he didn't chase, he just stopped showing up. And in doing so, he reclaimed something most people never even realize they've lost: self-respect. Sometimes power isn't in what you control, it's in what you choose to let go of. Revenge feels good for a moment, but peace will keep you company for a lifetime.